Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to Disarranged Talk Show. Joining you live from Be More and the D, your hosts, Matt and Andrew. Please like, subscribe, and comment.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Disarranged Talk Show, your one-of-a-kind live show written, organized, filmed, and hosted by veterans, where we discuss veterans transitional issues, current events, the family perspective, and the pursuit of a well-balanced and fruitful life. Disarranged is a platform for both military and non-military individuals to come together in a very supportive environment. I appreciate everybody that's joining us tonight. Matthew, how are you, my good friend?
Sir, I am doing okay. I think like everybody's in this cold spell right now, right? Well, I mean, I don't think it's as cold in Baltimore as it is in Michigan, because it's like so cold here that your skin burns when you walk outside. So yeah, it's other than that, I'm doing great.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, everybody, if this is your first time joining us, I'm going to let you know something. This is one of my favorite segments of the show, and this is where Matt G starts whooping on some freaking current events.
And now, your news and current events with Matt G.
Yes, sir. So this is my favorite part of the show, too, because I don't have to listen to you talk, bud. I'm just
hey, bud.
I'm just teasing, buddy. What happened at the beginning there? Did you get a little starstruck or what?
No, I don't know why you started laughing. I don't know why you started laughing at me.
Okay, because you were just standing there smiling.
Oh, well,
anyway,
there must have been a lag on my end then, because
okay.
I was waiting for it to like the screen to pop so we could change like we talked about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
all right, let's get it.
I look like an idiot. Did I look like an idiot?
Hey, no, you look great, bud.
All right, keep it going. Let's roll.
Let's get into the first story. So, really, senseless tragedy. Yes, this is 15-year-old Adriana Davidson. She's from Washtenaw County, Michigan. Her body was found in the athletic fields by her school in the middle of the day. This is a really strange story because she went to school that morning, got sick, went home, and then ended up going back to school. And there's video footage of her getting off the bus when she's at school. This is at like 11:15. And then, there's no video footage showing her walking into the school.
Really?
Yes. And then some people reported that they saw her at the bus stop with a man in a black hoodie, black pants. But she went missing at the school.
Really?
Yeah, and her body was found a couple hours later in the athletic fields in the middle of the day. Like, absolutely crazy, man.
Are we to assume the worst?
Well, her body was found, bud.
No, was she raped? Like, was she raped?
Oh, I don't know. No. As a matter of fact, it's not funny, but this part's to me comical because the cops said that right now they don't suspect any foul play. Right? I'm like, you just found a 15-year-old's body in the middle of the field during the day, and there's no foul play.
Unless they know that she overdosed, which they probably should bring that. They should just say that then, right?
I don't know. There's been no reports of any drug use at all or anything like that. So I don't know. There'll be more to follow, but just a really tragic event all around.
Well, keep us updated. Anyway, I want to see what it turns out to be. So let's keep our eyes on that.
I'll keep you updated. Let's get into a story that I know you've been paying close attention to. Listen, man. This is the farewell to your best friend, your favorite player in the whole world, Thomas Brady. So Tom Brady has decided to call it quits. Right, from football. Again, he decided last year to do it. Then he ended up coming back. Tom Brady played 20 years for the Patriots. And then he played 3 years for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He won 6 Super Bowls with the Patriots, 1 with the Buccaneers. He has more Super Bowl victories than any franchise. Put your
him.
mind around that.
I'm ready to see what the game of football can do without him.
Yeah, I mean it's time. It's time, and I think he knows it's time. But he holds pretty much every record there is to hold, and I mean because he's played forever, right?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
About old TB. Do you think it was a year too late?
I do. I think he thinks so too. I mean, he went through the divorce.
I was going to say he lost Giselle. He lost Giselle in that year. What if if this was a year ago?
Well, I know, but I don't. Dude, there's more to that story anyway because she was pictured with the guy like a week after they announced the divorce, and that you and I both know that doesn't happen that fast. That dude was there before that. Yeah. So there's more to that story. But you know what I mean? Like you don't find somebody that fast. That dude was in the picture way before that.
Yeah.
But
all right, Tommy, thanks for playing, but it was good riddance.
Yeah. So I the next piece of current events I got is we do lists and we do polls and surveys all the time.
All right, here we go.
We do them all the time on here, and this one kind of lines up with what we're talking about with relationships, right? This is a really, really good one I found. This is 5 things to never say when you're arguing with your partner. And this is from a psychiatrist. Okay.
So Matthew, I just want to start off and tell everybody, I have no idea what's on this list.
Right. You don't.
But I promise you, those 5 things I have said. I want to just
we'll see it. I think that I've said some of them. Let's get to number 1.
Hit me.
I think everybody has said this. Number 1 is you're overreacting. I mean, that's everybody's said that.
Yeah.
Number 2, what's that?
Standard data. That's standard.
Standard data. Number 2, you're a whatever. Could be an ass, an idiot,
dramatic.
No, like a dickhead or
so it's like
calling somebody a name, like derogatory name, an insult. Correct.
All right, I copy.
Yeah. So that obviously that's never a good thing. Number 3 is I never said that. This is interesting. That's an interesting one. Like I think I've said that.
Hold on. Let's talk about that last one.
Okay.
What are you supposed to say? Are you supposed to just eat it?
I think you're supposed to.
What if you didn't say it?
Well, I guess if you really didn't say it, then that's one thing. But I think if someone is saying that you said it, they want you to be accountable for what you said, obviously. So maybe say like, I don't remember saying that, but if I did, then I'm sorry. I don't know.
That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
All right. What's the last one?
So no, there's 2 more. So number 4 is you always or you never. Right. So like the extremes all the time, right? Like you always say this or you always do that, or you never take out the garbage or you never do this or you never, whatever. So it's
all right.
Yeah. And number 5 is we should just break up. You have like that person when every argument they get in with their significant other.
Well, we might as well just then.
Yeah, let's just break up then. Let's just break up. Yeah, let's just call it quits.
And then all of a sudden, 15 minutes later, they're having, anyways.
Right. So yeah, that's your top 5 things never to say to.
That's Matt. You come up here. Put it side by side. You come up with really good these. Either whether it's like relationship things, but these little survey things that we have going on, like they're pretty good, man. That's really good stuff. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of tonight's episode, everybody who's still joining us and live with us, we really wanted to kind of recap last week. Again, if you're joining us for the first time, we started last Friday. We started talking about relationships and mental health. It kind of got into a pretty good intimate show about the negative effects of mental health. So we're just going to play a quick recap before we get into the meat and potatoes of tonight's show. So Matt, roll that beautiful bean footage. Okay,
we lost you for a sec, so let me say what you were probably saying during that. We want to give you a recap of last week's show. You went dead air for a minute, so.
Copy.
Here's a
All right.
here's a recap of last week's show.
Current events with Matt G.
I got a couple of good ones. I got a follow up to a story. Well, let's start with the first one. This is the strangest thing, man. The problem is that the lemon shark is a protected species, and when you catch one of them under law, you have to catch and release without unharming. So I got a follow up to a story I believe I just did last week about the 6-year-old down in Virginia that shot his teacher, and thankfully the teacher lived. But the last one I saw this in the Military Times, and it blew my mind. So if you're a soldier right now and you're set to retire, or you're set to get the old coveted DD-214, you are on standby. What I want to work in is, obviously we're going to talk about from our perspective, is the struggles and difficulties that go along with relationships, as far as the mental health aspect, the PTSD aspect, emotional disconnect.
I mean, as a Marine vet, like, dude, I hide things, I block things because I feel like I'm a man, I should be able to handle it. I don't necessarily maybe not know how to like express the emotions. Back, when I was a younger veteran coming out, like I would act out, and now I'm just kind of internalizing things a little bit more, learning more about it, trying to be someone I'm not.
Right. And that's the thing that like has always killed me with you, and I'm sure you're not the only person that does it, dude. I'm sure I've done it and it happens, but you're a great guy, just allowing yourself to be you. You know what I mean? Being totally vulnerable, totally exposed. This is who I am. Yeah, I got issues here or there, but this is me. Everybody have a great, happy, safe weekend. We love you. Come back next week. We'll have a different show. But thanks for watching, everybody. This is Disarranged. That's a good recap there, but I just can't get over how red my face was. It looks like I got burnt out in the Florida sun. It's like, I don't know. I think my blood pressure was through the roof. I don't know.
Well, listen, man, it was a good show. It's the cool thing about doing a live show, everybody, is you have no idea what's going to happen.
Right.
We can plan for it. We have our bumpers, if you will, but we never really understand really what's going to happen and what's going to come out. And that was a real raw show, and I just appreciate that. So with that being said, man, I kind of want to hop into why we all came here tonight, to hear about what we want to talk about with mental health and positive and having relationships in a positive manner. But first, I want to start off by truly thanking everybody for the outreach and the support since last week's show. There's always there's times in all our lives that we may feel alone, until alone is what we actually are. But the people around us that love and truly care for us come out of the woodworks and stand by our side. So I'm very grateful for every single one of you out there that are watching, and every single one of you out there that reached out in the last week to just show some love and let me know that you were thinking of them. Thinking of me. Tonight, we thought it would be important to talk about more of the positive side of relationships with mental health, and how truly we never know that love can be right around the corner for all of us. Isn't that right, Matthew?
Yeah, it's absolutely correct. And I want to caveat off of what you were talking about with last week. A lot of the feedback we got was extremely positive, and like you said, we appreciate it. We love it. It was very raw. It was very emotional. I think it was beautiful. But we got also some feedback from guys too about our relationship and how we were able to communicate so affectionately with each other, right? Yeah. Hearing another man say, "I love you," or "I care about you," or "I'm here for you," is not something you hear all the time. It's something that's normal. Yeah. So I think it kind of adds to the stigma, that you were alluding to last week a little bit, even with the intimacy part. And I have a video that I want to share before we get into the questions. Okay. This was a video that was given to me from my girlfriend's sister, and I think it fits the narrative perfectly of the stigma on men.
Okay. Let it rip, brother.
people don't realize how often men are experiencing a lack of intimacy. And the only place that they can experience that intimacy is through sex. We've created a society where men are so afraid to be vulnerable with each other, to be, sensitive with each other, to care for each other, to love each other. Even saying that as a guy, you always have to change and be like, you can't just say, I love you. You have to be like, I love you, God. You know what I mean? You got to throw it, like you can't just say it. And it's interesting because that is where I do feel women have done a much better job of being there intimately for each other. Not sexually, but intimately. And I think we take for granted how much in society men who say sex is the thing they're not getting are actually struggling with a lack of companionship, of intimacy, of being in a space with a person where they're sharing, everything from serotonin to endorphins to what humans need to feel, And I hope we can change that conversation just a little bit more. I hope we get to the place where guys go, oh, actually didn't need the sex. I needed to be held. And I live in a society where it's hard to be held unless I'm having sex. Because as guys, you can't just go to a guy and be like, just hold me. True. There are many sex workers who've talked about this, where they'll talk about how many men will pay them and then say, hey, can we just talk? Can you just hold?
Some pretty powerful stuff. Like I said, I think it really gets into what you were saying last week about the intimacy part, and how it's the stigma of, right? Like that if a guy's touching you or he's, talking to you a certain way, it's just because I want to have sex with you. Right. Mm-hmm. And, not because I want to be intimate with you, right? Not because I want to be close to you. Men need to be held too. Men need to be. What is like the best place to be in the whole world? It's like laying between your girlfriend or your spouse's legs, right on her chest, being held. Right.
I'm a big guy. I don't know if that's where I need to be, but I'm picking up what you're putting down, brother. There's yes. It's almost when it's a little too warm in the bed, but you're both laying there and you're just feeling both each other's heat. Like that's awesome.
What I'm saying is it's nice to be held, and it's nice to be vulnerable, and it's nice to not always be the one that has to be the strong one, but you have this person who's giving you that intimacy and holding you and giving you that affection. So I think that was very, very well said by Trevor Noah.
That's a good point that I thought was that there's a stigma out there that as soon as a guy starts like maybe, playing a little grab ass or doing something that it's automatically that they're just trying to get you into bed. But like everyone, these love languages, everything's a little bit different, right? But that start and that spark of the intimacy is like I think is really, really important for a relationship. If 100%. I can't be with somebody and while you're cooking dinner, I come over and freaking smack you in the ass and let you know.
Yeah, I mean that's
it's flirting, right? That's flirting. That's intimate.
It's intimacy. It's all of that stuff, man. Right. I mean, if you love somebody and they're your person, you can't keep your hands off them. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's about sex. It doesn't 100%. Mean that. It's just every part of you wants to be around and touching that person. Agreed. That's just the way it is.
So, like I said before, we had a lot of I had a lot of people reach out to me and honestly, man, I tell you, they were just telling me how lucky I am as an individual to have you as my friend. They're like, hey, Matt really needs to be a therapist. And I was like, well, relax.
Oh boy.
Don't put him in that situation, So,
right.
But with that being said, but none of that really, like what happened last week was awesome and it was magical. Show aside, just for the simple fact that the way you delivered and gave me the advice came from somebody that obviously had been in those situations before, had been down those freaking paths and conquered it and came out there on the other side.
Yeah.
So I kind of want, if you could share with myself and our audience, what were those few years that you were going through the stuff that I was currently going through. How, what was it like? Could you talk us a little bit through that, what you experienced?
Yeah. So, I mean, almost virtually the same thing you were going through last week. And, man, there was ending a relationship, a very, very long relationship, at a time where I was transitioning out of the Marine Corps. Um, it was extremely hard. I was questioned myself as a man, as a person, as a father. Um, but I was in the same spot you were, where it's not you just feel so alone and vulnerable, and when you're with somebody that long and for that much time, and they're stripped away, it's like you don't know, you realize how little you know about yourself.
Mm,
You
yeah,
know what I
that's
mean?
deep. Yeah,
Like, all of a sudden, when you're alone, you just realize how little you actually know, and it's scary, right?
yeah,
And here I am at that time, 40 years old, and I didn't know, I got out of the Marine Corps, man. I had no idea what the hell I wanted to do.
yeah,
The only thing that I really loved doing was being a Marine.
yeah.
And I got out at 38 years old, and this relationship is ending. The Marine Corps is gone. I have no idea. I'm like you, man. If I'm not doing something I'm passionate about, I might as well be kicking rocks. So, I'm scared. I'm scared out of my mind.
Yeah.
But I went through. There's many nights, dude, where I was calling you. I was crying, um, broken. You know, felt like a failure. Um, it's hard. It's really hard. Like I said, I think that you know I was really reflective and taking a look at who I was, and I didn't like it.
Yeah. I remember a lot of those times, dude. A lot of people don't know it was dark, scary times. What I was always nervous about for you, I don't know if I was so worried that you were just going to be stuck.
Yeah,
Does that make sense? Like, I was just like, dude, Marine Corps is done,
yeah,
right? He's back home. Marriage went to shit. He's still got his daughter. And I know you. That's the only thing I'm like, well, he's just gonna kind of flounder.
yeah. And you know what, man? That was the only thing that really, at the time, saved me. It made me
Sorry, buddy.
pick myself up, was my daughter. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
All right.
and how much I love her, and I had to keep going.
Yeah.
I had to keep going. I had to figure out what the hell I was doing in my life, and I had to be a father and be strong for her. So I had to pick myself up and do that.
Interestingly
So
enough, though, Matt, I never doubted that was the person you're going to be. I knew that's what your commitment was, and that's all you gave a shit about. So I was like so scared because we would talk all the time. I'm like, dude, you're not 80, dude. Like, relax. Like, we had this conversation 100 times. I'm like, get yourself out there. Try to be more vulnerable. I was just so scared that you were never going to get to the other side, because what people don't know about you, that know you now and just of meeting you and getting to know you, is that 4 to 6 months ago, dude, we're like, everyone has no idea, but this is a completely different Matt.
no, so honestly, I got and like you said, you were scared. My So I found when I was by myself, I found a lot of personality quirks, should you say? And, so I liked to do things the same way every freaking day. Like, I like to sleep in the same spot. I like to eat at the same time. I like to be in, and if I didn't do these things that exact way, I got into a panic attack, right?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be out. There's no way I'd be out past 7:30. I didn't go out on a weeknight, period. I mean,
No.
even if it was up to the frigging gas station, like weekend, as soon as it starts getting dark, I'm home, right? For the
Yeah.
dogs. I mean, yeah, it's just, I got into this routine where it made me feel safe. It made me, like I watched The Office 24 hours. I mean, I had The Office on because it made me feel safe. I knew what to expect.
Yep.
And I think a lot of that was just because I was so uncomfortable in my skin at that time, and what I was seeing, that though that structure kept me sane.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Well, no, it does. You used to call, and if something was misplaced, and how your brain works, you're calling me freaking out, and we're trying to backtrack. And it's just like you weren't necessarily yourself, right?
Yeah.
So now let me kind of just transition a little bit, if I will. I truly I'm super freaking curious, dude. Like, what made you truly decide to like get out there and just be vulnerable and start dating again?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because through the process of being alone, I learned a lot about myself. Right.
Right.
I learned that it's okay not to be perfect. I learned that I have a lot to offer somebody emotionally and all the above. I learned that I'm a good guy. I learned a lot about myself, and it just got to the point where my daughter was starting to grow up, and she was in a phase where she doesn't want to hang out with dad, right?
Right.
And I was just sitting there, and I'm like, I want that companionship, right?
Yeah.
And I'm ready for it. I want to meet somebody and talk to somebody and have that in my life. So it was a tough decision, dude, because me, I really liked my me time, like
Still do.
being alone, being quiet. So I really questioned getting out there and doing that. I really questioned that.
I know. The nights is what sucks, right? And can you agree with that? Those are the nights where we would have those intimate conversations when you're like, dude, like I just want someone here. I don't care about anything. I'll just come here and fucking be here. You don't even have to talk. Just
Right.
that's how alone it happens, like
Well,
it's scary.
Yeah, and it's the Trevor Noah said it. I mean, you wouldn't believe how many sex workers would tell the story that they were hired by men just to be there and talk to them and be held.
That's incredible. I mean, that blows my mind.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, it doesn't shock me at all, because how many times did you feel like you just wanted somebody there as a soft support voice and to hold you and tell you it's going to be okay?
And to his point, though, you can't even communicate that, right?
You can't. No, you can't.
Like, me even just thinking about it, processing it in my head right now, it doesn't make sense.
No.
But it's like it's bad that it sucks that it's that way, right?
Yeah.
And I think that there definitely needs to be a change with that. But so I think a lot of people in your family want to know, since the fact that you're 100 years old, and how was the dating process? How did it start? How's it going? And have you found success?
So let me tell you, like, the process compared to like before when I first started dating, like in my early 20s, or like even when I'm a teen. Listen,
put a date on it. Put a date on it.
Well, let me see. That was 2000s, around year two. Yeah. So what were you?
I
2000,
was training
2001.
for 9/11.
Yeah, right. So so now I'm telling you, like, now dude, it is crazy. All right. You have like 15 different apps, and it's like it's so first of all, they say, I'm going to start with this. First of all, they say that women in general, they go through and swipe, and pretty much women have control of this. I'll just say that, because it's not the guys, because the guys will swipe on, like, it's just like, oh, she's decent looking, swipe, swipe, swipe. Like, women actually get to look and choose
And
and
they
really
read profiles.
yes, really be selective. I read profiles too, but they get to be more selective.
Right.
But they say that women only swipe on 5% of the guys that are on there.
5%.
5%. So the
So
same
basically,
5.
if you get swiped on, you're
So the same 5% of the guys are getting swiped on by all the women. So I'm not and listen, I'm not tooting a horn or anything like that, but
you didn't
this
get any
is
swipes.
what's that?
You didn't get any swipes, but
I get I got I got to
Okay.
swipe. I got to swipe, but I didn't like it because you have like 15 conversations going on, and you know me, man. I am not. I'm a very personable person,
Yeah.
and I like to
That's what I was
direct my
thinking.
I like to direct my energy and my emotions and my focus on one thing.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like you're almost like lying to these
No,
people, like,
it's
you know
spoken
what I
to.
mean?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, you're like trying to um, initiate and like carry on this conversation and maybe set up a meeting with like 6 people. And it's just
It's
it's
copy
not
and
me,
paste.
man.
Copy
Yeah,
and
it's
paste.
not me. It's not me. So I shortly after I started it, I shut it down. It's very tiring. I'm like, that's it. I'm
Yep.
fine. It's me and Bruno for the rest of my life.
Yep.
I'm good. And then but like what 2-3 months ago, I said I'm gonna turn it on again and see what happens.
That's how it starts, folks.
Yeah, and then I went on one of the dating apps, and I was blown away, to say the least, by this beautiful woman that I saw. Well, actually, when I saw her profile, I was just like, yes, immediately, yes, everything.
Yeah, because if she is listening out there, because guys swipe on everything. He just said that.
No, no, I didn't. I read her
I'm just
profile.
kidding.
I didn't. But I thought she had the most beautiful smile that I've ever seen in my life. It was off. Her smile was authentic and full of joy and full of life, and her eye, just everything about her. So I reached out to her, and I said hi to her, and then she thankfully said hi back. I mean, pretty quickly. I think it was within maybe a half an hour or something like that. And then you have the choice of like giving each other numbers and stuff like that, carrying on the conversation. Anyway, we ended up we started talking through text message, and we never stopped.
Mm.
So, and you know, what are you gonna say?
No, that's nothing. Keep going, brother.
No, it's amazing because I have this connection. I mean, not only she's absolutely beautiful and smart and creative and nurturing and loving and caring. She's everything and more that she's more that I knew I needed and wanted. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, but our connection is really what defines us. I think we have a just a tremendous connection. And
So hold on, let me interrupt real quick. So just this part of it? What can you say in a positive manner from last week's episode where, I was kind of at a stage of swearing women off?
Yeah.
Where in that stage, explain that if you could.
So and that's why I kept telling you, like, that person's out there.
Yeah.
That person's out there, right? Like,
Mhm.
you just have to be available and let it happen. Like, I didn't force it. I knew, dude. I mean, I knew within probably the first half an hour that I was talking to her that I wanted to be with her, like, no doubt about it. And I obviously wouldn't tell her that because it scared the shit out of her and she'd run away. But
Right.
I knew right away. It was just, I mean, she was the first thing I thought about in the morning and the last thing I thought about when I went to bed every day, and still is. So
if you're just joining us, the whole topic, trying to talk about relationships that affect your mental health in a positive manner. Clearly, we can all hear that, there's joy in your voice. There's a little bit more life and being in you. You told me the other day you were working out again. This is a completely different Matthew Gardner than 6 months to a year ago when we started this, and I'm very thankful for where you're at. I got to ask, what's on a scale of 1 to 10, my good friend? Give us a scale of 1 to 10 on how happy you are right now, and give us a little insight of that mental switch where you just like, you know what, I met this girl, this is the way I feel, and this is what I want to move forward with her.
yeah, it wasn't just the fact that that it was like fantastic to start seeing her and all that stuff. What she did was she brought me back to life.
Right.
She put life back in me. I mean, and not only that, but all the things that I used to be like anxious and nervous about and leery of, like, I don't even think about that anymore as long as she's involved in it, right?
Cool.
Like, okay, she's gonna be there. I don't care what the hell is going on, So it's changed the narrative of everything in my
Right.
life, and I'm incredibly grateful.
So you're telling people to get back out there and start dating again, right?
I'm telling people that there is definitely a lid to every pot.
Yeah.
So you just, number one, like I told you, take the time to learn about yourself, to
Yeah.
learn that to learn the areas that you need to forgive yourself, and the areas you need to accept in yourself.
Yeah.
There was areas of myself that weren't great, but I had to accept them. Like, this is you, dude. This is you as a man. This is you. You can either work on it or deal, or just
Accept it.
yeah. Instead of just ignoring that shit and bringing it into every relationship. And look, it's not like, I'm 42 years old. It's not, everything's not a cakewalk. I mean, even now I'm bringing in baggage into my relationship, and there's stuff that I'm still working through. But I would say the key to everything is communication.
Okay.
Communication is the number one thing. If you care about somebody and you want to make it work, you have to freaking talk. You have to talk. You have to be open and honest about what's on your mind and what you're thinking.
I
And
don't do the best at that. We talked about last week.
yeah, it's
And
hard.
I had a lot, all week to kind of reflect on last week's episode, and again, the outreach of people, kind of forced me again to be like, oh shit, like, it was cool because I kind of knew like I wasn't the only one out there, but I know that's something that I need to work on, and I want to work on it. Right? It's not that it's like, oh, I can work on it. It's like I want to. I don't need to. I
Yeah.
want to. And I think that's important to to your point, Matt, when you were saying that spend that time with yourself, figure out those things you want to work on. Either you're going to accept or you're going to work on it. Right. And like,
Yeah.
last week's episode, really, for whatever reason, just I realized, like, dude, I'm not fucking communicating properly, and I got to take a lot of that on the chin, and I can't not take that.
Well, and this is stuff like, listen, I failed at that stuff in previous relationships. I didn't know how to communicate.
Yeah.
I didn't know who the hell I was. I didn't know what the hell I wanted, until I got alone and by myself. You know what I mean? And that was the hardest part about being alone. All that shit hit me at once.
Yeah, and that's where I was. That's where I was at last week, and I have to give an update. Man, we had a good weekend last weekend. We talked a lot, and I just knew Sunday when we spoke, it was fucking game time. Excuse the language, but I knew that I had my time. I needed to, just put my boots on, take 30-inch steps and whoop it on. And I set more boundaries this week for myself personally, where like I've refused, like I told myself, dude, you're done working from home. You're getting up every day, 06. This is what you're doing. And I wrote it down and I fucking did it. I executed everything this week and I had a phenomenal week, man. Sales were awesome. Certain cool things are happening in life. We'll fill in later, but like, I felt like there was a weight lifted, and I could only imagine it had to have been from what we experienced last week, because that was a kick-ass time,
Yeah.
And it's so even though like last week there was a lot of, it was hard. It was hard to watch for some people. There's good on the other side of all this.
Yes,
and I think that's one of the biggest things that we want to talk about in this 2-part episode of relationships, right?
Yes, there is. There is. And it's through those trials and tribulations, through the fire, coming out the other side. There is promise. There is hope. There is love. And you know what, man? Even if you don't find somebody, like I said last week, you still have yourself. You still
100%.
have yourself.
And I also have a great family, a great support system, and I'm fortunate that there's not a lot of people that don't. A lot of people don't have that. Right. I have to acknowledge it, and then I just have a kick-ass support system. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm actually interested, brother. It's time. I want to know. I got to figure out a different perspective. There's been 2 guys for 2 weeks running their mouths about relationships. And I think we've got something up our sleeves tonight, brother. You want to get into this?
So, ladies and gentlemen, Andrew and I normally do a buddy check. I don't know, maybe once a month, right?
Well, we tried it. We tell everybody we do it every week.
Buddy check. A healthy network is a strong network.
Right. So we have a special guest for our buddy check this week. I want to bring in Miss Jackie Ely.
Hi.
Hey, Jackie.
Hey.
What's going on, Jackie? How are you?
Hi.
Good to see you.
I'm good. How are you?
Doing really well. Thank you very, very much for coming on and enjoying this episode with us. It's awesome to hear all these great things about you that Matt's talked about. Matt, go ahead. Let's what do we got?
First of all, I want to say that you look amazing as always, but
get a room.
Thank you.
So you watched last week's episode, and obviously you watched this week's episode.
Yes.
I am very interested to see what your perspective is as a woman to what you heard come from me and Andrew in the form of relationships and what men go through.
Yeah. Listening to last week's episode, I think like the biggest thing that I took from it was that I don't think it's a male or female issue. I think it's just like a personal issue of, everybody needs to learn themselves and to be able to communicate that to their partners. So
So now we've heard tremendous things about you. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm actually super curious, Jackie.
Yeah.
What through all this, right? In this your relationship with Matt, um, what in the past 2 weeks have you thought about Matt's opinions on relationships? Him being that sympathetic friend, but also kind of like, kind of with the little, F it attitude, but like being there for a friend. Like I'm curious to know what your opinion is.
I think it's amazing. I mean, a lot of the advice he gave you last week, my son actually said it. He's like, he sounded like me talking, like if it was me talking to my friends.
You are better. You're way better looking, Jackie.
I think he's pretty good looking. So,
Well,
thank you. Yeah.
Well,
So go ahead, Matt.
No, I just wanted to thank you for coming on and giving your perspective, and appreciate you. It was
Listen,
nice to see you.
Dude, listen, I can't let you two talk much anymore. I just the googly eyes through the phones. But Jackie, seriously, thank you for coming on. It's great to see you. I really can't wait to get up to Michigan and meet you. It's going to be really soon. We got some things working on, Matt and I.
Awesome.
But we appreciate your support. Welcome to the family. And if there's anything that we can do or I can do, you just phone call away. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie.
I appreciate you,
All
Jackie.
right.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Bye. Matt,
Yeah.
dude, if she didn't come on and you just showed a picture of her to people, there'd be no way that they thought that you pulled it.
It's funny because I told her on the phone, I said, when you come on, people are going to be like, how in the hell did this dipshit?
That's exactly what I was thinking. And I
Like,
talked to her
how did this
before.
happen? How did this happen? I don't know.
Listen, Matt, listen to me. Listen, let me take the reins. Give me the main stage, if you will, my
I got
friend.
you, buddy.
I'm very, very happy for you. I do. This makes me so happy as your friend, as your battle buddy. I couldn't be more pleased with where you've come. And this last year, dude, I couldn't have called it with a quarter in a payphone, my friend. Fucking last October, 2 Octobers ago, when we were sitting down and we were planning our first episode, and all the banter back and forth over the last year and change, I would have never thought you would be where you are. And it goes back to the original saying, like, dude, it does take a good woman to support a good man. And I'm very happy for you. I love it, dude. I'm just here to support anything that you got going on and anything that you want to do. I'm your number one fan.
I appreciate it, bud.
Absolutely, buddy.
I love you, and I'm not ashamed and afraid.
I love you, bro.
That. I don't love you, bro. I love you, and
I love you too, man.
I care very deeply about you, and all this stuff you're going through is going to make you a better person, right?
Yeah,
it's going to make you a better person, and I think just the outpouring of support and kind words and people telling you good things about you. Yeah. So you see, like, it's not all bad. People see a lot of wonderful things about you, and you just got to keep telling yourself that.
Absolutely. Listen, buddy, let's get side by side and let's close this together. I appreciate everybody coming out and showing their support the last 2 weeks with talking relationships with Disarranged. It's meant a lot to us. Literally, my phone hasn't stopped. His phone hasn't stopped. We've done the most views in this little channel with our little group of people, more than we've ever done consecutively in a 7-day span. So thank you. That's not us. That's all you guys. So if you could do us a favor, just keep liking, keep watching, keep supporting. And we're just going to keep trying to come every week and at least just give it a go. Right. That's the best we can do in life sometimes, is just give it a go. We're going to put 30-inch steps forward and we're just going to rock it. And I want to give a shout out to a very special person that's watching right now, Miss Sierra Stewart. It's my goddaughter. She's watching live right now. I wanted to say, how you doing? All the way out in Colorado. It's almost bedtime, so skedaddle. But no, it's been awesome. So thank you guys. We couldn't have done what we did in numbers last week with just views. And the reason why we talk about the views, it means we're reaching people. People are watching, and that means a lot to us. So thank you very, very much. Even if it's a tap of a like or a share, it means something. With the more people we have on here, the more it gets shared and the more people we can touch. So if you've got nothing left, my friend, I just want to say thank you. I love you. And
thank you, bud.
And I appreciate everybody out there that's watching. And again, this is Disarranged. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. Have a great day.
Thank you for joining us. Please remember to like, share, comment,